Good evening, everyone. This is the September 8, 2022 meeting of the Mansfield School Building Committee. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us here. Our first item on the agenda is the approval of the August 25 meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Thank you, Mary. Is there a second? Thanks, Madison. Any corrections? Then all in favor of approving the August 25 minutes, please indicate. And Kathy and Tony, your cameras are off. Okay.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay, we got it, Kathy and Tony. Thank you. So that passed unanimously. That brings us to the opportunity for public input. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address? Okay, seeing none, then we'll go on to the contractor update. Al, can you give us your update?
Okay. All right, I'll share the screen. Where is it? Here it is. All right, can everyone see the photos?
Yes, we can, thanks.
Okay. So this is what's left of the old school. This pile is asbestos containing concrete. This pile here is non-asbestos containing concrete, but most of this was removed today. So they'll be out of completely done tomorrow. Have this graded flat tomorrow.
Including the asbestos material?
Yes, actually,
Okay.
there was 2 loads of asbestos that went out today to New York. Yep. Yes, that's all done. They're currently doing site lighting in the parking lot area. Parking lot site lights and bollards.
Yeah.
We're also boxing out sidewalks around the bus loop, and this is down to the loading dock area. We're spreading topsoil. This is the rain garden. Getting ready to start the work here with the landscaper. They're continuing the sidewalks around the south side of the bus loop. Forming those up today. This is the patio off the cafe. Concrete patio, so they started forming this up. They'll pour these in sections. There's probably about 12 sections. This is sidewalk along the north side of B. A lot of maintenance, electrical, mechanical closets along this, right? So it's like a service corridor. This is the entry canopy started. Should be a couple of weeks. This is the south side of building B, or area B. Getting the play areas established.
Is that area about ready for topsoil, Al, or is it not yet? I was thinking that the sloped area in particular.
Oh yeah, they're coming through now with gutters. So once, I would say in another week and a half, they'll be doing topsoil over here. They're going to be concentrating on this, on the south side of this ramp, and then moving to this side of the ramp once that's done. So I would say a week and a half. At the next building committee meeting, you'll see topsoil here for sure.
Can I just add a comment? Tony had asked last time if there was going to be a guardrail along the top edge of that sloped area, and there is, because there's a sidewalk that's going to connect to the stairway, and there's a guardrail with some benches in front, and that's all for the playground that's behind us in this photo.
I think I have another photo. Oh no. Just the playground being installed.
Al, if you could, Scott from Colliers, I would like to add one other comment is, please make sure that you're coordinating with zoning as far as completion in regards to turf establishment and stormwater management. Will zoning accept the project as complete? Will that permit be able to be issued if we're still waiting for grass to be established and if stormwater management measures are still in place?
Okay. It's the playground area over the detention system. These are the satellite bases along the south side of the bus loop. It's just about done. They should be backfilling and then boxing out this roadway. And this roadway will go right down to the loading dock eventually.
Can I help you? Hi, yes, how are you? Good.
All right, so this is the west side of the building, building A. They're currently doing fascias over here, and gutters will follow shortly. They're working the backside with gutters, and then it'll be coming around here. This is the north side of the gym. This is the east side of the gym. They'll be here next with the Ipe siding. They're just about done with the Ipe siding on the B area. They just got to finish up this little bit of soffit over here. Then they'll be moving over to the this area of the gym. This is that the walkways that they're establishing now, concrete walks.
There seems to be a drop off on the side of the sidewalk.
Oh, this will be road base over here.
So it will be level when it's done?
No, actually the sidewalk will be higher, a little bit higher, about 6 inches higher than the roadway.
Okay, but only about 6 inches.
Right. There'll be a monolithic curb and walk here.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. So this is the east side of the B North. The fascias and soffits are complete. The gutter is complete in this area. They're doing downspouts now. They got 2 downspouts over here, and they got more coming along this side. The sunshades for the windows showed up. Those are starting to be installed. This picture doesn't have it, but they did start installing the sunshades today. Once the sunshades go on, then they can finish their caps, and that'll be it for the exterior building. And over here, they're working on the sunshades and the gutters and soffits. We'll have to do. Just a close up of that.
How much of the soffits are done at this point now?
I would say about 70%.
Okay.
And Al, how are we doing on the leak, air leak situation?
Air leak, they're working in area A now. So we should be getting a retest of area A. I would say the week after next.
So I assume then, or can we assume, or can we know that these 2 wings are good?
Oh, these 2 wings are good. These 2 wings have already been tested.
Okay.
Yeah, area A had a small leak at that metal roof. And they're over there now buttoning that up. So that should be ready for a retest in the next week or so.
Al, I know we talked a little bit on the recent walkabout about the relative ease at which the panels can get dented or dinged or punctured. Are these panels, if one did get damaged, I know that color match and patina match and whatever, like if you replace one down the road, it'll probably stand out. But if one was replaced early on, is it just a matter of easily popping out one panel? Or is there like a whole cascading thing that happens where you have to pop a whole bunch of panels off to replace one?
Yeah, it depends on where it is. I think the vertical panels are easier to replace than these.
And that's what I was talking about. Sorry, yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, if I can say something as far as like scratching of this product, the zinc, it's this interesting material that we've used it in the past, and when there are scratches and things that happen on it, it self-heals. It actually oxidizes and actually heals itself, which is interesting. As far as big dents and stuff, now that's another issue, but we do have the standing seams that would prevent anything from hitting the flat part of it. But you know, I mean, as with any building, any siding, you have to take care somewhat of the school and the siding. So, but it does self-heal with any scratches, and we'll never have to paint it.
So in this photo here, you'll see that the rubber roof is overhanging the edge here. The soffit and fascia is complete. It's just when they come and do the gutter, which will be after this section here, they'll terminate the rubber at this roof before they install the gutter. So that's the next step. So these fascias and soffits are done. They're working on the other side now. Okay. This is the south side of A, and fascia and soffits are done on the B section. This is them over there. They're working the A section now. And then they'll move over to the other side with the metal, which they're doing. And that will complete fascias and soffits.
And once the caps and stuff are on the window, and the light shades, that's when you can do the topsoil in that area. I guess
Yes.
Have to.
We can work off lifts from this gravel area if we had to, but we think we're going to have these done in time. They know that we have the flow of work getting out of this area here first and then working around the building counterclockwise.
Just a quick question for Jeff. What are being called sunshades, is that what they're called?
Yeah, those little fins that are sticking out that
Yeah.
you see, there's going to be a horizontal sunshade there
Okay.
that will deflect or reflect the light back.
Into the classrooms. That's why I was curious. It's not
And then,
really shades
but
like
also what's interesting is depending on the side where the sun is, we have vertical sunshade elements that you saw in one of the earlier photos that are at different depths, and they're important on the east elevation because the sun is different, and the south as well. So we have different depths of vertical sunshade devices, as well as those horizontal band sunshades, as well as a light shelf in the classroom. So there should be no direct glare and lots of natural light coming into these classrooms without the glare.
Great, thanks.
This is area A.
So that's where the guardrail will go, Tony, on the right side edge of that slab.
Right here.
And I
Thanks.
believe that's 42 inches tall.
And is the door in there, yet? Or is that? I
Yeah, the
can't tell.
frame is installed. We haven't installed any doors yet because those are the first things that would get damaged.
Okay.
So the doors go in, not, I don't want to say last, but they go in when most of the work is done, you know, so this is area A. You can see it's coming a long way. They've got most of the area painted out now. Ceilings are in. They're dropping all their mechanicals. So it won't be long before we get the above ceiling inspection here and we get ceiling tiles throughout. This is the skylight area in A, which is complete painted.
Yeah, that's in the breakout space and next to the teacher workroom. So that's going to be a really nice space.
Right.
Is this skylight installed there, Al, or is it? That's
Yes.
not it? Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have all the skylights except for the one over the grand stair. That one is still coming in late, but we got the ones in the library, the round ones, and we've got these installed. They came in early, or they came in earlier.
Looks like that's a tremendous amount of light.
Most of the interior glass is installed in A as well. Most of the plumbing fixtures have been installed in A.
Yeah, if you notice, there's a water bottle refill as well.
Yeah, that's great.
These are what your doors will look like. We installed these doors only because this is a telecommunications closet and we wanted to keep the dust out. But these are what the doors will look like. This is a finished product, except for the hardware.
That wouldn't include classroom doors, right?
I'm not sure if I don't know if the classroom doors have lights in them or if they're solid. Do you know, Jeff?
I believe they're solid because we have the side lights.
Okay. Yeah, so this would be exactly like the classrooms as well. These are all the marker boards and whiteboards. They all came in, so we've got that on the schedule to start install right after final paint.
Are these whiteboards or smart boards?
These are whiteboards. Smart boards are a totally different thing.
I know, but
Yeah.
the classrooms are going to have both?
Yes,
Thank you.
most of them, yeah. So these are the bathrooms in A. They're not 100% done. They're going through now with their specialties, their grab bars and their soap dispensers and all that stuff, putting those in. The tiles installed, the fixtures are in place, the walls are painted, mirror, door, and then final paint. This is your typical classroom in A. The walls have been painted. We're ready for wood on the ceiling, ready for millwork. And that's been scheduled.
And that shed is gone now that you can see through the window.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the old
The old pump house.
pump house I got demolished, yeah. All right, so this is what everyone was waiting for. This is the DOAS unit. Came in last week in pieces and they're hooking it up now.
What is that circular thing on the top?
This here is ductwork.
Wow.
So
Okay.
this ductwork circles around and comes into the unit over here.
And is that bringing in outside air? Or is that
Yes.
going? Okay.
So they just did they finished the connecting of the duct today on this side. And they're getting ready now to do the piping. You see the piping over here is capped off, but they're getting ready to do that now that the ductwork's done.
Sorry, I want to go back to Tony's question. It looks like in some areas we do have glass in the doors and other areas we have solid.
Solid doors.
Thanks.
Yep. So this is the interior of B main. This is where we had to leave this out to get the DOAS unit in. So we've started framing these walls up now. Getting that corridor complete. These are the interior walls in the mechanical room, framing those up now.
And I didn't notice, Al, is the opening that you had in the side of the library, has that been closed off?
No, we have started closing off the interior at the corridor to get those walls in, but we left 2 doors out just for remaining items we need to get in.
Okay.
2 windows are left out. Those will be going in next week. So this is your typical classroom in the B wing. The millwork is complete. Lights are in, ceiling is complete. Walls are painted. We're actually going to be starting here. I have a finished schedule that I just completed. We're going to be starting here with final paint. That'll be a week from Monday. Then we're going to.
I get it mixed up, but where was the dusting problem and when do we get to final floor?
Final floor. This area here is one of the areas that is dusting. We still have work to do on how we're going to remediate the floor for the tile. So that's yet to be determined. I have it on my schedule. But the way I have my schedule done is we're going to be finishing up painting, acoustical panels, interior doors, final paint, and then flooring will go last. Flooring will be the last trade in here besides final cleaning.
And it's on your schedule. So what does your schedule accommodate in terms of remediating the floors?
It doesn't. It just has a start date for flooring. Hopefully the issue gets resolved by that date, you know.
So what are the blue squares in the ceiling?
Oh, those are just protection that's over the HVAC grills. Because you don't want dust to get inside there. So it just keeps the dust out of the HVAC ducts. The bathrooms now, they're putting in the baby changing stations, the grab bars, the toilet paper and all that. These are the unisex bathrooms. The partitions are in. They're installing all the grab bars and specialties in there now. So this is the area above the cafe. They're finishing up the drywall now on both sides. Monday, they come in and they start this the wood ceiling here. Once the wood ceiling's done, we'll follow with acoustical panels that go along either side. Final paint, and then we're going to start the ceramic tile in here. Should be starting ceramic tile in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's the 15-inch by 30-inch porcelain ceramic tile, right?
Yes. So this is the area that we had to leave out. They just framed this out and sheetrocked it this week. So this gets an aluminum frame with doors going into the learning commons.
Yeah.
All the interior glass is installed now at the gymnasium and the learning commons. They're finishing the drywall now around the windows. Most of the heat pumps now have been plumbed and are under test. Once the test is done, they'll insulate the lines and those will be complete. This is just a fire alarm boxes are going in, control panels. That's it for photos.
Okay, any updates on the procurement log? Anything notable? Are there some things that you're still waiting on? I know there were a number of things promised in September.
Yeah, we got an update on the generator. The update was there is no update. We still don't know when we're going to get it. They're waiting on parts. So that's something that we don't even have a date for yet. The fire pump is coming early next week.
Okay, and how about the elevator?
Oh, the elevator will be here tomorrow.
And the stairs, what's the latest on the stairs?
Okay, so right now, let me go back to that photo. They are, really can't see it, but there's a staging set up over the stairs right now. They're finishing up the drywall at the skylight here. Once that's done and painted, they'll take the scaffold down and we'll do the stair repair once that's done. This is going to take probably another week and a half in this area. That they got to finish the drywall, paint it, put the ceiling grid in, and then do the finishes in the ceiling grid. But once the staging is out, then they'll work on both of these side landings.
I have a question.
They're gonna raise it?
They're going to raise both sides, yes.
They've already done the bottom.
Already done the bottom, yes.
Tony, you had a question?
I'm not sure whether Chris was asking my question, but I don't understand how you repair a staircase where the risers are on an uneven level without taking it all out and rebuilding it.
No, I think I can answer that if I can, Al. The stair looks to me like it was prefabbed in the shop, and all the treads and risers, I think for the most part, were all set at the proper height, with the exception of the bottom one and the position of the top one, which the tread, which is where your foot goes, should be lined up with the main level slab. Now, because the bottom riser was too short, it basically dropped the entire stair down to a point where the slab had to be pitched at the top, so you're sloping slightly to meet that first tread. So by raising that whole thing up to get it level, the top tread level with the main floor elevation slab, then you will get the bottom riser the same as all the rest of the risers. Right now they've shimmed the bottom, so if you can imagine a very small increment, this stair is kind of tilted. So the bottom they shimmed to get the riser height, but the top is still not at the level. So that's why they'll have to break the stringers from the wall of the structural support, jack it up that distance, and then make sure that the riser on the bottom and the riser on the top matches all the other risers. And then they'll also have to fix the rails at the corners of the rails, because in every condition they're all different. So they need to follow the drawings to make sure those are corrected. And I'll have to follow up on that on my next visit.
Right. Yeah, there's more work in the rails than there is in the stair, actually, if you can believe it.
I
But-
can't.
Yeah. So talking about the stair, I realize how it happened. It shouldn't have happened, but I know how it happened. Originally, there was porcelain tile on the stairs themselves and resilient floor on the landings or on the bottom of the stair, and at both the top of the stairs had resilient floor, and then the stair itself had tile, porcelain tile. And that's why the bottom tread was lower, because there's a difference between the resilient floor and the porcelain tile. But now everything is porcelain. We got that was one of the alternates to put porcelain tile in the corridors now. So that's why it happened. I'm not saying it.
Right.
It's being
So-
fixed. It was definitely our mistake. We didn't pick up on that change.
Because they're different thicknesses.
Correct. Yeah.
Right, are there other questions for Al? Okay, seeing none, then I guess we can move on. Thanks, Al, for that.
Welcome.
All right, architect update.
Yeah, I don't have much other than the site observation reports, and just trying to make sure that we catch as much as we can and get them resolved. Newfield has been correcting quite a few things, so I've been taking those off as we go. And things that are left on are things that I don't feel are complete yet. So we're just moving with the field reports to make sure everything's done right. As everyone's going to hear from Colliers, which I don't want to necessarily dig in and take their spotlight, but there's some issues that are going to come up with the flooring, and I believe we had a storm recently. And I went through the site the next day and I didn't see any window leaks or any roof leaks other than one area where the door was wide open downstairs, but I don't think that came in from the window system itself. It was just an opening in the music room, the door that was supposed to go in. So I didn't witness any leaks, so that's good news. Other than that, I think we're just moving through these field reports and trying to keep everybody going as fast as they can and without sacrificing the quality craftsmanship.
Okay, anybody have questions for Jeff? Okay, then OPM update. Screen.
So the high level focus I want to share with everyone in terms of providing these updates on things to target with regard to progress of the building is, the DOAS unit has been received, it's in, that's great. Now we have the generator. That's an item that's a big question mark. It has been outstanding as an item that's been on the log, but it used to have a delivery date. Now there isn't even a delivery date. So that's the key procurement item du jour. There are a couple other items, but that's the most concerning and pressing, if you will. In terms of some of the interior conditioning items we've had in the past, it's been hot, it's been humid, etc. Those, for the large extent, appear to have been resolved due to just the conditions outside getting a little cooler, a little less humid, as well as the type of work that needs to be performed. Obviously, the heat pumps are making their way in terms of installation, and there have been some issues that have been overcome there, but we still need the variable frequency drives, the permanent ones, to be delivered. So that's also a procurement item to watch as we see that procurement logs. Yep.
Back on the generator, what's plan B? Because that's going to, from what you're saying, I know there are other little odds and ends that could bugger things up, but assuming it doesn't show, we can't open the building without a generator. Is that right? That's been my understanding.
Yes, that's my understanding as well.
So what's plan B, and are temporary generators realistic, acceptable? What's the deal?
That's something we need to coordinate with the building official. They do make temporary generators. There's other means of potentially resolving the issue, but it's a focus on what answers do we have. So if there's still a month or two left of construction items, or if there's only a month left, or if there's more than that, that will dictate what the potential options are. But some sort of temporary unit, if there's something that Sullivan Benson has a lead on, they've used that to solve the VFD problem for getting them started up. So if we don't have an answer in a week or two, then we need some real answers on what the alternatives are if it's going to delay occupancy.
At what level is the requirement that there be a generator? And there are plenty of schools, I know they're existing, they may be older, that do not have generators. Who is it that says you must have a generator in order for a building to be occupiable?
That'd be through the actual occupancy process through building codes and fire life safety.
Yeah, in this case, Chris, I believe, and Jeff, please chime in, I believe that the generator is operating emergency lights and emergency systems. So they're not on battery backup, they're on generator backup. Jeff, please confirm.
That's correct. That's correct.
So existing building, that's been around for quite some time, might have not have had those code requirements, or may have had battery backup.
Yeah. And they have batteries in the little exit lights and so forth. Yep.
Yep. So those are in terms of the focus on procurement. In terms of actual progress, obviously we've heard about the exterior envelope and the site and the stairs and those items. The flooring is an item that is the key topic to resolve. There was some testing done throughout the week that didn't result in plan forward for remediating the dusting issue. There's some primer used and whatnot, but those tests did not pass. So right now Newfield is identifying what the next steps are. based on some conversations that Colliers and TSKP have had with some of the vendors. It appears that blasting and abrading the flooring and removing the layer that's causing the dusting still appears to be the answer to resolving it. I know that Newfield has got some additional conversations with their flooring vendor, and I believe they're trying another pull test tomorrow. But for all intents and purposes, that appears to be the path forward. And that takes time to put in, implement, get it prepped, get the floor levels, and get the flooring back in. So we have, I know that Al mentioned he had just developed his finish schedule. He just finished that, so we haven't had a chance to look at that yet. But that, in terms of progress, that's the item that's of particular focus and concern, just because there are multiple steps as opposed to just painting a room, finishing it out, and then moving on to the next room. So that's the high level focal point for when you hear the conversations, when you look at the procurement logs, et cetera, the items to be mindful of.
Where on the flooring, where do you see the cost going?
For the actual dusting issue, that should not be on the onus of the owner.
Good. You say should not. How strong is that case?
I've seen nothing compelling to suggest that it would be the owner's cost. It's a concrete issue that was poured and result of, it's not the concrete specification that the designer came up with. So it was poured, the dusting exists through whatever machinations occurred during construction that wouldn't be attributable to the owner.
Great. Except for the problem itself, that's great.
Any question on that, just before I have one other update on the trees? I don't see anything. So I'll share my screen real quick here. So we had a meeting with both the neighbors at the corner and one in Julie Sherman and Vincent and Sue Audette with regard to the additional enhanced buffer trees. Can you see the plan on my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So I met outside with the two neighbors along with Cynthia Jensen, the landscape architect, and Randy. And we spoke with each of them and presented what the landscape architect had come up with based off of the specific needs of each of the neighbors and the desires for the additional enhancements and the concerns that they have. So with Julia Sherman on the corner, she was very focused on the ecological perspective of the buffer replacement. So she wasn't concerned about visibility and screening and privacy and those sorts of things. She mostly wanted to ensure that there were provisions for pollinator bushes and some native plantings and trees here to help restore some of the just the natural ecosystem that occurred there, not just have it be a rain garden. And on top of that, she wanted to ensure that the rain garden had the biome there to help serve as a learning educational tool, should that be something that the curriculum can employ. So it's not just a place where the water goes. You can go there and observe seeds and birds and butterflies and all that. And the actual natural symbiotic environment there. So the species there, we went those with her. It's a couple of trees here, native species, along with some bushes on the rain garden, and she was satisfied with that to meet her desire for the additional plantings, as well as cleaning up some of the additional brush and so a stump that was an eyesore and that she wanted to cut down a little lower. With regard to her neighbor Sue Audette, this was the more of a visual problem where there was the second floor of the building here, and you kind of view down into their yard and their bedroom, and you can see through the window, things of that nature. So the landscape architect and I walked through and went to each of the buildings and got each of the rooms, I'm sorry, got a line of sight into the yard, and then strategically placed trees in those locations, both closer spruce elements, so that way they didn't grow as tall and provide such a hazard, and they were a little denser, as well as some pines farther away that grow faster. So you have a two-tiered effect to help block some of the line of sights from each of the classrooms. So we reviewed that with her and her husband, and the critical index there in terms of the visual blockage, which is ensuring that the spruces were on that ridge. If you recall, I took some photos showing the ridge. And so the spruces here are all the larger size spruces that we had reviewed in a previous plan, not the smaller option one that was approved, but the bigger 7 to 8 foot spruces. I've also asked the landscape architect to look at even some larger ones to see if they're available, and they can be priced for the committee to consider, maybe 10 feet, something like that, to provide even more of a visual buffer. But the notion is that this 2-tiered approach would help reestablish that visual buffer. The other element there was if you can see here, these 4 trees here on the ridge line, it just to the east of the ridge line, or I'm sorry, the south of the ridge line, there's a slope where there's a lot of stones and a lot of weeds growing up that normally wouldn't have been as robust, but since the trees have been removed from the margin buffer, they're getting a lot more sunlight than they used to. So there's more weeds growing here that are a bit unsightly. So the other component of it to help address some of the changes to the buffer was to install some of the fencing that was extra from other portions of the school site, some of that privacy fencing, 6 foot tall, and install it here. They have existing stone wall in this location, an existing gap. So they had asked to place that fencing there just to help provide some, again, another visual and physical barrier between the slope and some of those new bushes and trees and things and their yard. And so they reviewed that, and they thought that was a good plan, a good strategy to resolve some of the issues while maintaining still the notion of restoring the natural buffer in place. So as I mentioned, this plan we walked through with both neighbors. Right now, the goal is to put this as a potential change order into Newfield to get actual firm quote pricing for this scope, and then I'll come back before the committee to present it as an option. Any questions there?
Madison?
Yeah, I mean, just wondering, after having talked to them and looking at the sight lines again, you know, when we looked at the pictures a while ago, it felt like the angle was such that it almost like it was going to be a really tall tree. I guess I'm hoping that even a 10-foot tree, do you think that's going to be helpful? And do you feel like the neighbors feel like satisfied and heard, and you know, are you
Right.
are you
So
optimistic?
yep, I got you. So we pointed out one of the existing spruces on the ridge happened to be an 8-foot tree. I think the town got one sort of for free when it was only supposed to be 6 feet. And it was on that ridge line. And when you looked at it from the classrooms to the critical window, the bedroom window, because Sue pointed that out to us, translating that over, it would just cover it at the top of the crest. Obviously, as you went down the hill, those get less intense, but there's less of an angle into some of the critical areas of their yard. Moreover, just with the growth of the trees, the spruces, obviously it depends on a number of factors, how much they grow each year. But from the landscape architect, after about a year of establishment, they can expect to grow 8 to 10 inches. But the white pines up front grow far faster. So there's an understanding that, you know, on day one, would you still technically be able to see parts of the school building? Yes, but it won't take 10 years to establish a solid buffer, because we've got trees, the eastern pines, that grow at 1 to 2 feet per year, while you've got the thicker, denser, sort of the undergrowth coming through, as well as the denser spruces up front. So there's multiple layers there that will block it. So although, yes, on the first day, there might be something that peeks through, and maybe we can mitigate that if there is availability of the taller spruces and the taller pines to help provide a more immediate impact. But at a minimum, even providing the 8-foot trees should reestablish some of that comfort level, along with just the fence at the bottom, to improve some of just the unsightliness, if you will, that they were experiencing at grade level.
Yeah, I think we had a very productive meeting with both the neighbors, and it seemed to go really well.
Randy, may I make a comment?
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Kathy.
I've said this before, but Adam, I just really want to thank you very much for thoughtfully taking care of our neighbors. You're really going above and beyond, and I, for one, really appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Steve.
Yeah, and I agree with Kathy. Thank you for doing all that. Just to circle back to the generator thing. So if I'm understanding you correctly, by our next board meeting or committee meeting, we'll know if temporary generators are an option. And if we don't have a delivery date, will we be exploring alternative suppliers for a generator?
Al, do you want to jump into that and talk about what you've talked about with Sullivan Benson, or talk about what's their outlook on this? Because ultimately they'll need to provide something.
Al, are you there by your computer?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I had it on mute. The generator the news we got from the generator company that's supplying the generator, it had some information here about what is missing from the generator. The generator itself is in their shop. They're missing a couple of pieces to it. I'm trying to locate where. Oh, this is what our electrician got from the generator company. Eric, just heard from the planner. They are still waiting on the radiator and alternator for this unit. So those are the two pieces that are missing. And apparently those are. So I think it would be more feasible to get a replacement radiator, a radiator that would work, and an alternator that would work with the specified unit. If that is possible, that would be the way I would go.
Okay, nope, that sounds great. I just want to make sure that if we needed time to, kind of like the DOAS, like we ran out of time to look for a different supplier, if we needed to start that process earlier, but it sounds like we're way past that and almost there. So that's a great update. Thank you very much.
There you go.
And Steve, did I miss your hand earlier? Were there other questions you had?
Nope, that was it.
Okay, thanks. All right, any other questions for Adam? Okay.
PCOs.
Adam?
There you go to PCOs and the procurement.
Yes.
Is that where we're at?
Yep.
Yes. All right, so if you look on the draft motions, there's no visual for this, but there's one procurement item. This is another similar increase for the ongoing reimbursables and that kind of thing, similar to what we do for IMTL and all that. But it's for reimbursable expenses for Colliers. This is the mileage and the ongoing expenses that we have. So there's an increase there for those services, as far as we do our site visits, et cetera. So that's an increase of $7,500 to that purchase order.
Right, so there's a PO that's a purchase order that's already existing. It's just we don't allocate all the funds at once. So is there a motion? Are there questions on that?
What period does this cover?
This is just ongoing moving forward. So it's from to right now, and then as we submit our invoices, we always identify the breakout of the mileage that myself and Joe have going to the field and that kind of thing. So it's not like it's a period for retroactive, it's for future expenses, the same way the testing lab has. They submit their bills to us and bill against that PO for the unit costs.
And I'm curious, do we pay you if you come to the site and work there all day? Do we still pay some sort of mileage to you? Like as if you had gone to the office first?
I guess I understand the question.
When you charge us mileage, is it simply you getting to our site? Or if you work from your office, wherever that may be, looks very nice, by the way. But if you work from your office, we don't get charged mileage because you haven't traveled anywhere. When you, I can understand you charging us for getting from your office to our site. I'm just curious if you charge us, if instead of spending your day at your company office, if you spend it at Al's office, if we still get charged mileage from you.
Yeah, so with going to, when we go to the site is when we charge mileage. If I just come to the main Madison office, for example, or Joe or Scott come into the main Madison office, we don't charge mileage in that regard. And there isn't, with going to site visits, there typically isn't a day. For example, if I go in to visit the site, it's not there for a full day because I have to go and attend to other projects elsewhere. So the mileage is to go to the site, visit the site, and come back. Or go to the next site or what have you.
So if you go, sorry to do this, but if you go to another client from our place, how do you charge us versus them?
It's usually prorated based on the leg there and then the portion of the leg thereafter or whatnot. So it's, if I went to 2 sites in a day, for example, I don't charge a there and back and a there and back for each job and each project and double up the mileage, so to speak.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on this? Then is there a motion to increase the purchase order for Colliers for reimbursable expenses from $10,000 to $17,500? Okay, Rich, thank you. Is there a second? Madison? Any final questions? Then all in favor of approving the motion, please indicate.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed or abstentions? Okay. All right,
Okay.
I'm with PCOs.
All right, I'll share my screen here. So we have 4 PCOs for tonight. The 63R, this is a credit for $6,100 for drywall and a soffit. So Jeff, you want to go ahead and take this one?
Yeah, it started out as a credit of like, I think $1,700, but when I did the calculation, we had shown, basically in a nutshell, we had shown an additional layer of sheetrock on the inside of the soffits above the Cusco ceilings where the cubbies are. We continued the sheetrock up 6 inches so the ceiling can die into that. But because there was so much wiring and mechanical and stuff in there, the question came to me, can we not do that on those soffits? And I said, sure, show me the credit. So we got a $1,700 credit initially, and then I did the calculation. They agreed to this number, which is now $6,100. So it seems reasonable to me. It was a win-win for both the town and the contractor because it would have been a nightmare to have them do it. So I think it's one of those things where we're good on this one.
Okay, I'd be happy to move we approve this.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve PCO 63R for $6,109.34 credit. Second, Madison. Any other questions? Then all in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay.
Okay, next one, PCO 68R. This is for $1,962 for some additional furring and some structural cross members.
Yeah, we beat this one up significantly as well and got them down to that number. Basically, the issue was that on the exterior side of the B wing in 2 locations was some brace framing and some structure in there that required the conduits to sort of run around. So we agreed to just do some hat channel furring to fur that out to accommodate that. And I forget exactly, well, yeah, I think it was a brace frame at the corners, bringing the conduit around. So it was one of those things that we had to do to get the wiring so it wouldn't be an exposed conduit, and it was due to the brace framing. And I think the stud size as well. So it's, what is it, $1,900? We had to do it.
Given that we made it easier for the electrician, who would presumably have ordinarily concealed their work, Did they give us a credit, the electricians?
Yeah, I think the number started quite a bit higher. And we got it down to this number
No,
here.
Jeff, I'm saying that this was to help the electricians, correct?
Well, it's to help everybody, because what we ended up doing is routing the conduit on the ceiling space below on the lower level. And then we furred out the upper to bring the conduit into where it needed to be without being exposed. So I think it was in everybody's interest that we needed to do this.
There wouldn't have been space, Chris. It wasn't a matter of just making it easier for the electrician. The electrician couldn't put it in because the wall was, the steel stud was in the steel member was in the way. So the wall needed to come out more so you could physically get it around.
Well, there was that, but then there was also the run links, because I think the intention was to run it through the bench and then around into that wall. But I think the run links were quite a bit long in terms of the elbows and turning and getting around the brace frames and stuff. It's one of those things that happens in the fields. We had to do it.
Okay, is there then a motion to approve PCO 68R in the amount of $1,962.14? Okay, thank you, Steve. Second, Madison. Then all in favor of approving the motion, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay.
Just one other question on that. How many incidences of this were there, Jeff? Is this just in one place?
One wall. There's the wall
wall.
on the B wing on the east.
The east side,
southeast
yes. The
So a
east
couple
side.
rooms, I think, but one location, if you will. but
One wall,
full
but 2 rooms, yes.
Okay, then PCO 88R2.
So PCA-80R2, this is the additional PCO for the AV rough-in. So this was one where we had previously approved, the committee had previously seen a PCO and approved it with regard to the new locations that received the backup supports and a different AV box configuration and electrical per the Jamie request, Jamie, the IT director request, to facilitate the different mount types that were procured. That one went sooner than this one because that was all new work and therefore could be eligible for some potential state reimbursement. This is the other component to that, where there were 13 rooms where the electrical was done and 24 rooms where the studs were already done. So there was rework there that was not going to be eligible. So that's why this one was separated out. So this is for stud work and electrical work in those rooms.
So this was at the owner's request for changing the way the AV system was mounted. Okay. Are there questions on this? We talked about it earlier. We saw pictures of how the conduits were routed and so forth for some of the other rooms. But this was some actual rework that was done. Okay, so is there a motion to approve PCO 88R2? Thank you, Mary. Is there a second? Okay, Rich, thank you. Then all in favor of approving PCO 88R2, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. And then PCO 06.
Yes. So this one is for door hardware changes for the auto operators, basically the electrical backup for 3 of the 88 push plates. If you require, there was some changes to the door hardware system. Well, Jeff, you want to talk more about this, but it's basically a QA/QC check on the electrical and they.
Yeah, that's
missing
basically it.
circuits.
Exactly. So there needed to be some motorized door push plates, those ADA handicap accessible push plates. So where the canopy comes into the 2 entries, we needed to put those in primarily because on the outside, they need to have one to get into the vestibule and then one in the vestibule to get into the second. And if they're exiting, the reverse has to happen. So the hardware just gets complicated. So we had to add 3 in each of these vestibules, and that required some power to them. And I believe that number was quite a bit higher, and we got that number down quite a bit as well. What is it now, 10,000? Yeah, we had to do it for handicap accessibility.
Did we have nothing before?
That's a good question. I think we, I can't answer that
We
right
had
now. I don't know.
nothing. I kind of don't get it, because it seems like this is a required thing. This is expected in every building now, certainly a commercial building. I'm delighted you got the price down, but it feels like this should have already been there, that this shouldn't be a change order. This
Well,
should-
I believe, I'll have to double check, but I believe that the main entrance, we had one or two. We may have missed the middle one, and then the secondary entrance on the other side of the canopy, that's an accessible entry as well, so we added those.
That would be the one into the kindergarten area.
Yes.
So there was nothing over there before.
The plates were there, the power was not.
The power was not.
So it sounds like it was an oversight about putting power in. Somebody drew plates in there, but nobody said run a wire to it. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes,
And Adam, this is, just to confirm, this is being tracked as an E&O on the part of the architect.
correct.
Right, so it has to be there. And it wasn't in the original drawing, so it requires a PCO.
So Scott, just because it's tracked as this thing, it still sounds like we're on hook for it. You can label it whatever you want, but you're asking us to pay it.
Yes, so
That
the
is
way the,
correct.
yes. The way the contract works, they have new TSKP has up to 1% of the contract value for errors and omissions. That's a standard type of clause throughout AIA contracts for new buildings with regard to the level of additional items that may have been missed during coordination. And there's a percentage that's negotiated prior to the project. So that
It
1%
gets-
is what that means.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it gets TSKP's name on it because they hired the electrical contractor to design is that what's going on?
Yes, the town has the contract with TSKP. So if the TSKPs and their subconsultants exceeded the 1% value, and we started reviewing how much TSKP would be paying for additional errors and omissions beyond that, if it were Cole Ronan or the structural engineer or whomever else, that would be between TSKP and their subconsultants to negotiate.
On what value is the 1% based? In other words, how much is the 1% and where do we stand on it?
The 1% is $406,000 worth of change orders. And I believe we're just over 300,000 accumulated so far. So we haven't quite gotten to that threshold, but it is getting up there.
Okay, so
Time for me to move out of town then, right?
So, but since it's different from what was on the original drawings, it does require a change order to implement this. So, is there a motion then to approve PCO 106 for the electrical changes for the door auto operators? Thank you, Madison. And then is there a second? Steve, thank you. Okay, then all in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstention? Okay. All right, and that brings us to the invoice package.
Yes, so we will still have the typical August invoice package at the next meeting. This invoice package is a supplemental package to accommodate two instances that occurred from the last billing package. One was, if you recall, there was a reduction in Newfield's pay application due to some subcontractors that did not, or the one subcontractor that did not submit certified payrolls that are required by statute. They subsequently got their documentation in order and submitted the certified payrolls. So this pay application is exclusively focused on that portion of the work that was rejected before in an effort to keep the cash flow for it's the site contractor in this instance, to ensure that they are still getting paid for the work that was done now that their documentation has been brought up to snuff. And the other portion of it is for some IMTL invoices. If you notice, there's a number of them that are on this package. IMTL had some staffing issues, and their billing was not submitted for any of their projects for months and months and months and months. They finally were able to compile those and submit them back. I think it was a day or two before the last committee meeting. And while that wasn't enough time to review them, they had requested if we could review them and get those approved for the months that were missed. The values have been vetted. It was just a function of, like I said, they had some staffing issues in their office. So it's to make that up, to bring them up to current before we proceed with normal invoice packets moving forward monthly.
Okay, Steve, have your question?
Yeah, so all the amounts approved match up except for that second to last IMTL one where it's off by a couple of dollars. Is
Yep.
there a reason for that, or?
Yes, one of the values for some of the hours that they had billed for didn't match the login sheet that Joe checks when he reviews the invoice. So they wanted 4.5. The login sheet said an hour, so they get an hour.
Thank you for double checking all that.
Okay, then is there someone willing to make the motion to approve the supplemental invoice package? Thank you, Mary. Appreciate your volunteering.
I will make a motion to approve the supplemental invoice package for July of 2022 dated today, including invoices from IMTL in the amount of $26,499.88 and Newfield's application for payment number 15A in the amount of $147,523.59 for a total approval of $174,023.47.
Okay, is there a motion? Is there a second? Thank you, Rich. All in favor of approving the motion, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, thank you for that. That brings us to adjournment. Just before the adjournment, I do want to say that as of the starting of the next meeting, we will run the meeting as a hybrid meeting, and so anybody who wishes can meet in the town council chambers. And we will also have the hybrid remote option available as well. So you'll get links for the Zoom meeting as you have. We'll also be meeting in town council chambers starting for the next meeting. Rich, you have a question?
Yeah, I was wondering, it's going to be very difficult for me to be at a meeting live at 4 o'clock. Is anyone interested in maybe pushing it back to 4:15, or is that going to create problems for others?
Randy, if I just might add, we quite often have Board of Ed Finance Committee meetings and then Board of Ed meetings following this meeting.
Yeah.
So that might
gets
be a little,
conflict. Yeah, I mean, we will still have the option to Zoom in, Rich, if it's easier, it'd probably be easier for you than making it to town hall.
Okay, didn't hurt to ask.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, then with that, I would accept a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Mary. Is there a second? Rich, thank you again. Then you can consent to adjourning by logging off.
And may all the school buses run on time.
Okay, thank you, Randy.
All right. Good night, everyone.
And I don't.